Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Mr. Arun Kumar, 19 years male from Karimnagar, studying BCom first year from a low socioeconomic family. History is given by the patient himself and his parents. Reliable history.
Your voice is not clear.
One minute. Sir, now is it okay, sir?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Sir, history given by patient and his parents. Sir, reliable history. Arun Kumar, 19 years male from Karimnagar district, studying BCom first year from a low socioeconomic status family. Presented with chief complaints of breathlessness on exertion since 1 year, bluish discoloration of lips since 3 months, and syncope since 2 months. Sir. Coming to the history of present illness, sir, his patient had a significant past history, sir. So I would like to begin history from the birth history, considering a Kanya Lahan. 19 years old male patient, born to consanguineous parentage, full-term normal vaginal delivery, home delivery, cried immediately after birth weight of 2.5 kg, apparently normal after birth. On 21st day after birth, father noticed increased respiratory rate and indrawing of chest in the baby and took him to a hospital. There he was evaluated and a scan was done, and they told him that he had a cardiac disease, probably a hole in the heart, which might get closed in due course of time, and advised follow-up and medications. But later, due to financial constraints and the patient is apparently normal, they did not go for any follow-ups. Patient gives a history, attenders gives a history of repeated respiratory tract infection in the childhood, around 2 to 3 episodes per year. Most of these episodes last for around 3 to 4 days, subsided with oral medication. Only one episode he took IV medication, sir. Details not. They used to go and come for the injections. Only one episode at the age of 2 years. Till 5 years of age, he had a recurrent respiratory tract infections. Later decreased. Later, he is comfortable doing all his activities with normal growth and milestones, with an average academic performance, and able to do all his activities and with normal growth and development. At the age of 18 years, when he joined in college, he need to walk for around 2 kilometers to go to the college. Then he noticed breathlessness after walking for 1 to 1.5 kilometers. Then he used to stop, take rest, and then continue walking to go to the college. This has gradually progressed over last 1 year, and later he has restricted his sporting activities in the college. No stuff any orthopnea or PND, no stuff V's, no stuff any hemoptysis, no stuff any seasonal variation of the breathlessness. Coming to the second complaint, parents notice bluish discoloration of lips since last 3 months. No stuff any bluish discoloration of fingers or toes, and no stuff any deepening of this discoloration. No stuff cyanotic spells, no stuff spatting episodes or deepening of cyanosis. They also give a history of 2 episodes of syncope in the last 2 months. These 2 episodes of syncope are seen during while he was walking to the college. After walking for 1 kilometer, he used to become fatigued, and he had 1 episode of pre-syncope giddiness and 1 episode of syncope.
When they say it's an exertional syncope.
Yes, sir, exertional effort-induced syncope, sir. Exertional syncope, no history of any post-palpitation diabetes, sir. No history of any feeding difficulties in the childhood, no history of any failure to thrive, no history of cyanotic spells or spatting episodes, no history of headache, visual blurring, or seizures or any focal deficit, no history of hemoptysis or gum bleeding or epistaxis, no history of pedal edema or abdominal distension, no history of any prolonged fever, no history of joint pains in the child. Coming to past history, no history of any significant, any other major medical or surgical illness in the past. Personal history, mixed diet, normal bowel and bladder habit, normal sleep and appetite, and average academic performance. Family history, no history of any similar complaints in the family, 2 siblings, second child is healthy. Developmental history, normal motor and social milestones and language milestones. Shall I summarize?
Antenatal history?
Sir, antenatal, sorry, sir, I got forward. Sir, antenatal completely normal. Sir. No shock any fever or rash or no shock any medication used during the antenatal period. Sir. Antenatal and the puerperal and postnatal period normal. Sir. Only on 21st day of life, father noticed breathlessness in the child.
Growth and development is normal.
Normal growth and development.
So during infancy, did not have any symptoms, sir? No respiratory infections or...
Sir, he had repeated episodes of respiratory tract infection till 5 years of age. Around 2 to 3 episodes per year for 5 years he had.
So during infancy, he had increased respiratory tract infections.
Yes, sir. During infancy, he had increased respiratory tract infection and he had heart failure-like symptoms in the 21st day of life.
Which one?
On 21st day of life, he had heart failure, increased respiratory distress.
On 21st day of life?
Yes, sir.
So what happened? Respiratory distress means whether he was admitted to a hospital or not?
Sir, he was admitted to a hospital. Sir. He was taken to a hospital. He was admitted there. He was evaluated and the scan was done, sir. And they told him that he had a cardiac disease, probably a hole in the heart. They have given medications and asked him to follow up, sir.
Okay. So, can you summarize the history?
Yes, sir. 19 years male with a history suggests of increased pulmonary blood flow in the childhood in the form of repeated respiratory tract infection, suggests of a left to right shunt till 5 years of age, stable in between 5 to 18 years of age, stable, and again became symptomatic since last 1 year in the form of effort-induced breathlessness on exertion, cyanosis, and syncope, sir.
Yes.
So with this history, I would like to capture the
treatment history. Whether he received any treatment except for those respiratory infections.
Yes, sir. He used to take only oral medications for that respiratory tract infection. Sir. Only one episode of IV medication.
Okay. So why do you think it's a left to right shunt?
Sir, history suggests of repeated respiratory tract infections. So though IV medication not there, but he is having a frequency of around 2 to 3 episodes per year.
But he was never asked. He was
so
never
you
hospitalized.
Can keep your mic and video on. Okay, rest of us will keep. I'll just get credit for it.
Are they suggestive of upper respiratory infection or lower respiratory?
So there will, first of all.
Sir, mostly lower respiratory tract infection because
go ahead, Rufus.
Saying that he is having increased respiratory rate and is having a respiratory distress during the episode. So probably lower respiratory tract infections only because of lack of medical facilities they would not have gone to hospital. But they went to he got hospitalized 2 episodes. One episode in the 21st day of life, another episode in 2nd year of life.
Okay. Yes.
So with this history, I would like to
think of
any history of heart failure during infancy. You said there are no feeding difficulties, no no spitting, no forehead spitting. Never had any symptoms of heart failure, no, during infancy?
So that infancy period, they could not actually remember properly. They are not able to say about the feeding difficulties and the forehead sweating in the infancy.
Okay. So what has happened later? Initially, to start with, you think it's an increased pulmonary blood flow situation, but in between he was totally asymptomatic. No, why is totally asymptomatic? Till 1 year of this thing, till last 1 year, he was totally asymptomatic, no?
Yes, sir. From 5 years of age to 18 years of age, he was asymptomatic, sir.
What could have happened?
Sir, possible.
If it were to be a significant left to right shunt, to start with, he had increased respiratory infections, all those things, but these things have subsided later. And he was totally asymptomatic for almost 15 years or 13 years.
Yes, sir.
And later he became symptomatic for the last 1 year only.
Yes, sir.
What could have happened?
Sir, possibilities could be one is a large a left to right shunt in the childhood, which might have developed a pulmonary hypertension, pulmonary arterial hypertension, development of reversal option. Now he became symptomatic, sir. Isomerization. Other possibilities are a large left to right shunt in the form of VST in childhood, development of acquired RVOT obstruction, like a vascularization, sir, acquired RVOT obstruction. Could be another possibility, but he is having history of cyanosis, sir. That too I can't explain with RVOT obstruction.
Why? RVOT obstruction cannot explain cyanosis, sir.
But he is having significant cyanosis.
Now, what is the reason for cyanosis when the pulmonary hypertension develops?
Because of reversal of the shunt across the VH.
The same thing can happen with RVOT obstruction also, no? When the RVOT obstruction has become severe, almost there can be right to left shunting. That can cause cyanosis.
Okay.
So it is possible with even RVOT obstruction if it is severe.
Okay.
So we cannot differentiate between these two things basing on reversal of shunt. Okay. So either of these two things have happened.
Yes.
So which is more likely in this as per your this thing? You said exertional syncope. How do you explain exertional syncope?
Sir, exertional syncope is because of in case of severe pulmonary arterial hypertension, around 10 to 15% patient can have syncope, sir. But here he is having, after walking, he is having fatigue and followed by giddiness and syncope, sir. Because of decreased cardiac output.
Okay. So how common is exertional syncope in secondary pulmonary hypertension?
Exertional syncope is common in case of primary pulmonary. Secondary pulmonary hypertension is uncommon, sir. Only 10 to 15% of patients they can have syncope. That too, VST.
Primary?
Syncope is common in case of primary pulmonary hypertension.
How common it is? Percentage?
40 to 50, predominant syncope will be syncope. 40 to 50% will have fatigue and syncope.
1/3 of them will have syncope in primary pulmonary hypertension, but Tyson-Mengerization syncope is around 10%.
Okay.
And anything else will differentiate a primary pulmonary hypertension from a secondary pulmonary hypertension?
So other possibilities are a course of illness, sir. Generally, primary pulmonary hypertension will have a rapid downhill course. Once he becomes symptomatic, they will have a rapid downhill course, sir. Secondary pulmonary hypertension, they will have favorable prognosis, long-term survival rates. And hemoptysis and bleeding tendencies are common in case of secondary pulmonary hypertension, whereas fatigue and syncope are common in case of primary pulmonary hypertension.
Yes. And anything else?
Clinical, sir.
Clinical findings. What about heart failure?
Right heart failure is common in case of primary pulmonary hypertension, sir. Where in case of Eisenmenger, right heart failure is rare.
Yeah. Why?
Because in case of VH Eisenmenger or PD, RV is exposed to high pressures from the beginning. So RV gets accustomed to the high pressure. Failure is delayed in case of primary
pulmonary hypertension develops suddenly.
Sir?
In primary pulmonary hypertension, pulmonary artery pressures will go up suddenly.
No, sir. They also develop gradual problems.
Take time, no, to develop. Here, the magnitude of pulmonary hypertension is more with primary pulmonary hypertension. Sometimes pressures may go suprasystemic.
Okay.
Pressures may go beyond suprasystemic. That's the reason why the right heart failure or RV failure can occur. Here there is a secondary pulmonary hypertension, there is a VST. The RV can decompress into the other chamber. So that's the reason why actually the right heart failure is
less common with your mic and
secondary pulmonary
video
hypertensions. Whereas
on.
primary
Initially angina, now more recently left ventricular failure.
Will be greater.
Yes, sir.
And also because of lack of any septal defects, all those things, right heart failure is common.
Do you conclude anything else from the history?
Recording has started.
Left heart failure, I want to know that.
Chest pain?
Chest pain is common in case of secondary pulmonary hypertension because RV hypertrophy is predominant in case of Eisenmenger syndrome. So chest pain is common in second compared to primary.
Primary pulmonary hypertension chest pain won't occur. Actually, pressures will be more in primary pulmonary RV hypertrophy is more actually more, should be more, no? And the afterload is more, actually hypertrophy should be more.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Sir, other features such as hyperviscosity syndrome features are common with Eisenmenger syndrome, secondary, sir. Whereas in the case of primary development, hyperviscosity syndromes are uncommon.
Okay. So here, what could have happened? So you say it is because of the development of either because of the development of pulmonary hypertension or because of the development of RV aorta obstruction, it has become symptomatic again.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any other possibility?
So can we consider AST with left side obstructive lesions? Such as bicuspid, AST with left side obstructive lesions such as coarctation of aorta, bicuspid aortic valve. Initial AST might have caused symptoms. Now AST might have closed, and this bicuspid aortic valve or coarctation of aorta might have progressed to produce these. But clinical cyanosis we will not be able to explain.
Yes, cyanosis cannot be explained, no?
Yes, sir. Cyanosis cannot be explained.
And how common is bicuspid aortic valve causing AST in the case of AST? So these combinations are rare. You should always try to explain with one possibility rather than bring in two possibilities.
Okay.
So what are all the other conditions which can present with this constellation of symptoms? SOB, cyanosis, and exertional syncope. Or syncope.
Yes.
At this stage.
Epstein.
Yes?
Epstein's anomaly, sir.
Epstein's anomaly. Okay. So Epstein's can have symptoms of shortness of breath and also
mild cyanosis can be there, and palpitations can result in arrhythmias can result in
syncope can be there.
Yes.
So is it Epstein's?
Sir, Epstein's he is having history of repeated respiratory tract infection in the childhood. And later he was stable in between. Sir. Epstein generally low output shape. Repeated respiratory tract infections will not be.
So Epstein's is not a low output. It's a decreased pulmonary flow situation.
Yes, sir. Decreased.
So they actually don't expect frequent respiratory infections in Epstein's. So other symptoms can be explained with Epstein's?
Yes, sir. But the heart failure symptoms can be explained, sir. And syncope secondary to any arrhythmias can be explained with Epstein's.
Where are the heart failure symptoms? In this, there are no heart failure symptoms at all.
Breathlessness on exertion.
Breathlessness. Here, the breathlessness is class 2 only.
Yes, sir.
So that can be caused by any cardiac condition.
Yes.
Not very specific feature, no?
Yes.
Yes. What else? What else with Epstein's? Why Epstein's is unlikely?
Because of respiratory tract infections, we are not able to explain with Epstein.
Okay.
And the syncope.
Agreed. That is one thing. So you thought it's frequent respiratory infections during infancy and early childhood. These things cannot be explained with Epstein's. And second thing is?
Cyanosis also will be only mild in case of Epstein's. It depends on the severity of Epstein's, but it's mostly mild cyanosis.
When do they develop cyanosis? By the time they will develop right heart failure, no?
Once they develop right heart failure, they develop.
Yeah. So there the right heart failure symptoms are not there at all. So in Epstein's, usually by the time they develop cyanosis, that is right to left shunting across PFO, they will develop heart failure. So heart failure symptoms would be there. So here those things are not there, but cyanosis is there. Okay. And the other thing is syncope. Here it is, you say it is classically exertional syncope.
Yes, sir.
Epstein's mostly it is because of arrhythmias. So arrhythmic syncope is not related to exertion. Syncope can occur at any time, not specifically related to exertion. Okay. So these things are little odd for Epstein's anomaly.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other possibility which can present at this age?
For MD pulmonary hypertension, but patient here is a male patient. If the history of respiratory tract infection in the childhood is not so significant, we can consider primary pulmonary hypertension.
Primary pulmonary hypertension, why do they develop cyanosis?
In case of they develop cyanosis only after right heart failure. Here there are no features of right heart failure.
Same thing applies to that. So right heart failure with right left shunting across PFO. So these things should be there for a primary pulmonary hypertension. But here the progression is also quite rapid if the onset of primary pulmonary hypertension is for the last 1 year. Previously was never symptomatic, no?
Previously not symptomatic, sir, in the form of cyanosis and such.
So these things are little difficult to explain. Okay. Anything else? Is it ASD Eisenmenger?
ASD Eisenmenger, he became symptomatic on 21st day of life, sir. And ASD Eisenmenger will they develop Eisenmenger in the 3rd to 4th decade of life. So these features somewhat are rare. Here Eisenmenger development is in the 2nd decade, 19 years of, and the significant shunt symptoms in the childhood alone ASD we may not be able to explain.
Yes. And what else? Syncope is more common with which type of Eisenmenger?
Only with VST Eisenmenger. Syncope with VST Eisenmenger.
Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Symptoms also.
Okay. Any other possibility you would like to think of?
ASDPS.
ASDPS. Why should they develop cyanosis?
ASDPS cyanosis they can develop only after reversal of the shunt. Also uncommon.
Shunt across the PFO or AST, rest to AST. So PS has to be fairly severe. So such a short history is little unlikely for a PS, severe PS. He became symptomatic for only 1 year back.
Yes, sir.
So such short history is a little unusual. Of course, they can present at this age, but breathlessness, it increases progressively. The breathlessness increases progressively from class 2 to class 3. Later, he develops right heart failure. Later, after the development of right heart failure, there will be right to left shunting. By that time, individual will be quite sick, quite symptomatic at least. What about syncope? Syncope can occur with PS?
In severe form of PS, syncope cannot.
In severe PS, syncope is described. Though it is rare compared to AS, it is described in PS also. Okay? But usually they will go into right heart failure to have a reversal of right shunt at the atrial level. Anything else?
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, syncope in PH, what should we tell the cause, sir? Hello, sir.
Primary PH or secondary PH?
Sir, secondary PH.
PH, it's because of the low output.
Okay, sir.
Because of the low output, whenever the person exerts, the cardiac output drops.
Okay, sir.
So whenever there is a drop in the cardiac output, and during exertion, the peripheral vascular resistance, what will happen? Drops.
drops. Yeah, yes.
Okay. So drops in peripheral fluorescence drops that results in a decreased cerebral flow. Okay. So here, what are the other possibilities you would like to think of? Is it decreased pulmonary blood flow situation?
History of history of respiratory infection. So if it
Respiratory infections, you said you are not very sure whether they are lower respiratory or upper respiratory infections. Hmm? The hospitalization was only for once during infancy, and heart failure symptoms are not there.
yes, then
So,
we can
yeah, you cannot totally bank on those findings to say it is definitely a left to right shunt. Still, it could be description of history. Patient's attendants may not be able to tell clearly. But here, there is no conclusive proof that it is increased pulmonary blood flow situation because respiratory infections are not definitely a lower respiratory infection.
yes.
We are not very sure about that. So, suppose if you set aside that finding,
Then we can
if you
think
think,
of some ESTPS physiology like a adult ectology presenting late, but no of any cyanotic cells or spatting episodes in the childhood, and normal growth and development till second decade of life without any intervention.
yes, no cyanotic cells, no spatting, normal growth and development, and he became symptomatic for the last 1 year. This is a little unusual because cyanotic tetralogy, they will be symptomatic for a long time.
Yes, yes.
They will be symptomatic for a long time. Here, the symptoms are there for the last 1 year. And what about exertional syncope in VSDPS?
They can have exertional syncope because of the decreased cardiac output state. They can have syncope. Aorta.
Yes. Okay. And like that, when the tetralogy VSDPS physiology is possible, and even admixture physiologies are also possible because both will be almost similar.
Yes. Yes.
Admixture physiology, cyanosis onset will be little early and cyanosis will be more deeper. But sometimes when the pulmonary blood flow is not that much decreased, in such case the cyanosis may be very mild.
Okay.
So any VSDPS physiology, either tetralogy or admixture physiology with VSDPS, is also possible if you are not sure about the respiratory infections during infancy and early childhood. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So
Okay,
cardiac
good.
output would be normal in VSDPS.
Normal in VSD?
PS, no, so is decreased cardiac output the cause of syncope in VSDPS physiology?
When there is severe PS, when there is a severe RV obstruction that is possible, no? The cardiac output drops during exertion, not during rest.
Okay. Oh, okay, sir.
During exertion. Sometimes the RVOT gradient may reach almost 100, 120 also. The tetralogy itself is a spectrum. You can have severe RVOT obstruction with a gradient of 60. We can have severe RVOT obstruction with a gradient of 100, 120 also sometimes.
Okay, sir.
Very severe RVOT obstruction can occur. Okay. Yes.
Examination shall start. General exam. Patient is moderately built in narration, height of 182 centimeters, weight of 50 kgs, with a BMI of 15.1 kg per meter square. Upper segment is 86 centimeters, lower segment is 96 centimeters, and arm span of 177 centimeters. No other features of Marfanoid have no other Marfanoid features, such as a wrist sign or thumb sign, no dysmorphic faces, no musculoskeletal abnormalities. Conjunctival suffusion is present. There is a central cyanosis in the lip, tongue, fingers, and underneath the tongue. Uniform cyanosis. Grade 3 clubbing seen all the four limbs. No lymphadenopathy. No pedal edema. Saturation 78% in all the four limbs. Temperature
severe.
Sir.
Cyanosis.
Cyanosis severe, sir.
You should describe the intensity of cyanosis also. Okay.
Okay. Intense.
Any dysmorphic features?
No dysmorphic features, sir. No dysmorphic features, no musculoskeletal abnormal. Temperature efebrile, pulse rate 96 beats per minute, normal volume, no radioradial delay, no radiofemoral delay, all peripheral pulses are felt, no special character. Blood pressure 120 by 80 mm of Hg in the right upper limb, 124 by 80 mm of Hg in left upper limb, 130 mm Hg systolic in right lower limb. Respiratory rate 18 cycles per minute, abdominothoracic. Jugular venous pressure is not elevated, sir. Normal waveform with normal response to respiration. Abdominal jugular reflex is negative. Abdominal situs, liver dullness on the right fifth intercostal space and gastric tympanic node on the left side, sir. Situs solitus, abdominal situs. Precordial examination, there is a precordial bulge is present, sir. No scars or sinuses. Apical impulse is in the left fifth intercostal space. In the mid-clavicular line, sir. Diffuse type of impulse, RV type with lateral retraction. Left parasternal pulsations are present in the left second intercostal space, sir. And their epigastric pulsations are present, RV type of epigastric pulsation. No thrill. Palpable second heart on the pulmonary area, sir. Probably palpable P2. Percussion S1 normal, S2 single second heart sound, S2. No S3 or S4. There is a high pitch sharp clicking sound heard in the second left intercostal space, sir. Constantly, probably pulmonary vascular click. Coming to murmur, sir, there is only one murmur, sir. There is a short, medium frequency, harsh mid-systolic murmur in left second intercostal space, early peaking, best heard with the diaphragm. Grade 2 murmur.
Grade 2.
Short systolic murmur.
Okay. Any change in respiration?
No change with respiration.
No change. Okay. Yes.
No other murmurs, sir. I have looked for early diastolic murmur in the pulmonary area, but I could not elicit any early diastolic murmur in the pulmonary area, sir. Other system examinations are normal, sir. Diagnosis.
What about S3, S4? Did you look for?
Yes, sir. I looked for no S3 or S4, sir.
Any MDM at the apex?
No other murmur, sir. No MDM at the apex.
Okay. Summarize the clinical findings.
Central cyanosis, intense central cyanosis with pandigital clubbing, uniform cyanosis and pandigital clubbing, saturation of 78% in all the four limbs. With precordial bulge, normal RV type of apical impulse, sir, with no significant cardiomegaly. With the left parasternal pulsation such as PA dilatation, with single second heart sound, sir, and a pulmonary vascular click.
Left parasternal pulsations or left second space pulsations?
Second space pulsation.
Left second space pulsations. There are no left parasternal pulsations.
So second and third space are able to see the pulsation. Second and third.
Third also.
Epigastric pulsations are there.
You mean to say that RV pulsations?
RV pulsations.
RV or pulmonary artery? Or both?
Both, sir. Because in the epigastric also I am able to feel pulsation. Second and third also I am able to feel. Even his thin build, sir, 50 kg with height of 182 centimeters. 15 is the BMI. That was the one for thin chest.
Any marfanoid features?
No other. Only height is 182, sir, but the arm span is 177. No other features of wrist strain or thumb strain or lens dislocation of lens. Or no family history of any marfanoid habits.
How do you know dislocation of lens? Sir,
superior dislocation in case of Marfan syndrome. Inferior dislocation in case of homocystinuria. And they will have homocystinuria. They will have.
How do you detect displacement of lens?
By means of slit lamps.
With the naked eye, you can't see, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, slit lamp. Suppose slit lamp is not there.
This will be there.
Yes, floppy iris in case of
Iridodonesis. You suddenly ask the patient to rotate his eyes to one side. That time, iris trembles. Whenever a sudden jerking motion to the eye is given, The iris trembles. That is iridodonosis. Iridodonosis is a sign of dislocation. Okay. Yes.
Diagnosis, sir.
Diagnosis.
Situs solitus levocardia, congenital heart disease, cyanotic with decreased pulmonary blood flow, Eisenmenger syndrome due to post-strike restriction, left to right shunt in the form of VSD, without any features of hyperresponsive syndrome, without evidence of right heart failure in sinus rhythm, no signs of infective endocarditis in NYHA function class 2 on treatment.
Okay. So, how do you diagnose VSD Eisenmenger? So, what will be the clinical findings like in VSD Eisenmenger?
Sir, in VSD Eisenmenger, there will not be any cardiomegaly, sir. And the second heart sound will be single second heart sound will be there in case of VSD Eisenmenger.
Okay. Yes.
And there can be short systolic murmurs in case of when the VSD is becoming large, VSD is becoming restricted VSD, small VSD.
So any splitting of the second heart sound with Eisenmengerization, it is a point strongly against VSD Eisenmengerization. VSD Eisenmengerization second sound is always it is single.
Yes.
Whereas in ASD and PDA?
In ASD, S2 will be wide split, sir. Wide and fixed split. Persistent wide and fixed split in case of ASD Eisenmenger. In case of PDA, it will be narrow split, sir, or normal split in case of PDA.
Narrow split or normal split will be there in PDA Eisenmengerization, but split can be still appreciated in PDA Eisenmengerization. ASD Eisenmengerization split narrows, but it's still wider.
Okay.
Compared to left to right shunt stage, split narrows in ASD Eisenmengerization also, but still it is wider.
Okay.
Wider and it's fixed. Whereas VSD Eisenmengerization, it's always single second sound. Yeah. Anything else? Any other clinical findings?
Sir, by means of parasternal heave, sir. In case of ASD Eisenmengerization, we can see parasternal heave. Whereas in case of VSD, in case of PDA Eisenmenger, parasternal heave. In VSD, heave is unlikely, sir.
Why?
Because there is a large malrestricted VSD is there. Heave, in PDA, it can be seen in some cases.
Okay. Because a large non-restrictive VSD, you don't expect any parasternal lifting. If there is a parasternal lift, that almost rules out VSD Eisenmengerization.
Okay.
Significant left parasternal lifting rules out a VSD Eisenmengerization. Anything else? Any other findings?
In case of ASD Eisenmengerization, because of severe PA, development of pulmonary hypertension, JVP can be elevated with prominent A waves. But in case of VSD and PDA, JVP generally will be normal.
Okay. JVP may be normal. In PDA Eisenmengerization also, JVP may be normal. Okay. Anything else? Any other point?
Based on RVS4 can be seen in case of ASD. RVS.
Yes. Another thing is
can be there in ASD, sir, not in VSD.
RV failure. RV failure.
Sir, RV failure can be seen in case of ASD. VSD and PDA unlike.
ASD and PDA. In PDA also sometimes there can be suprasystem pressures. That is possible, but VSD Eisenmengerization RV failure is extremely unusual. It is possible with ASD and PDA, more common with ASD Eisenmengerization, but VSD Eisenmengerization, if there is right heart failure, that is point against VSD Eisenmengerization. Yes. Hello.
Sir,
Anything else? Any other findings?
Cardiomegaly can be there in ASD, sir.
Volume, sir. Pulse volume, sir. Pulse volume. In case of PDA, there can be high volume pulse. Whereas in case of ASD and ASD, the volume of the pulse will be very low, sir. Low volume pulse because of right heart failure.
No. So can you repeat again?
Sir, pulse volume, sir. In case of PDA, there can be a high volume pulse can be seen, sir.
Why do you have high volume pulse? Because left to right.
PR, sir. PDA PR.
PR is there, you will have a high volume pulse. Otherwise, you don't get a high volume pulse in PDA. There's a lot of disturbance there. In PDA memorization, if there is PR only, you get a very high volume pulse. Otherwise, you don't get, because left to right shunt is very less. There will be reversal of the shunting across the PDA, and runoff, peripheral runoff won't be that rapid to cause high volume pulse.
Okay.
Yes, anything else?
So differential cyanosis and clubbing.
In case of PDA, in case of PDA, there will be differential cyanosis, sir.
Yeah, PDA differential cyanosis and clubbing, if they are there, that is a point strongly in favor of PDA injury. Yeah. Anything else? What will be the auscultatory findings like?
Auscultatory findings. We can PR murmur can be seen in case of AST hypertensive PR, tricuspid, pansystolic murmur across the tricuspid valve. Can be seen in case of AST.
PR can be seen in?
The PR can be seen in case of PDA, sir, and sometimes in VST.
And pulmonary hypertension is there, anything can cause the pulmonary regurgitation or tricuspid regurgitation.
Yes.
So that can happen with AST meningeal physiology. What is the murmur like in VST AST meningerization?
Sir, in VST AST meningerization, generally short systolic murmur will be there, sir. Either because of the small VST which has become restrictive, or because of the murmur across the pulmonary valve.
What type of systolic murmur you call it?
Short systolic murmur.
How do you describe systolic murmur? There are so many systolic murmur, no? Mid systolic murmur, late systolic murmur, ejection systolic murmur.
Mid systolic murmur. Mid systolic.
Why? What will be the murmur like in PDA VSD left to right shunting?
It will be a hollow systolic. In case of restrictive AST, it will be large pansystolic murmur.
It's any VSD, it's a pansystolic murmur.
Yes.
ESD with significant left to right murmur is pansystolic. Pansystolic means it starts with S1.
Yes, sir. Yes.
As the pulmonary artery pressures increase, what will get tapered? The later part of the systolic murmur gets tapered. So, what will happen finally?
Only ejection systolic murmur or early systolic murmur.
No, you can't call it ejection murmur. You say it is an early systolic murmur.
Early systolic.
So, classically, VSD meningeal causes an early systolic murmur because murmur starts with S1 and it is confined to the early part of the systole. In the later part of the systole, because of equalization of the stoppage of the flow, there won't be any turbulence in the later part of the systole.
Okay.
Because the gradient is very soon abolished. So the murmur is confined to only early systole. The later part of the systole, there won't be any turbulence. That's the reason why it is confined to early systole only. Whereas it's a left to right shunting VST, the turbulence continues throughout systole. So you get a pansystolic murmur.
Yes.
What are the other causes of early systolic murmurs?
Sir, there can be murmur because of dilated pulmonary artery. Because of dilated pulmonary artery, there can be early short systolic murmur.
No, that is not early systolic murmur. No, in dilated pulmonary artery, pulmonary valve has to open. All outflow murmurs are ejection systolic murmurs. Early systolic murmurs won't be generated across the outflow because why they are not generated across the
because they develop only after isovolumetric contraction.
Exactly. So that isovolumic contraction phase has to be over before the aortic wall or pulmonary wall opens. So that gap will always be there between S1 and the systolic murmur. So you can't call it an early systolic murmur. So all outflow murmurs are ejection systolic. There is a clear-cut gap between the S1 and the murmur. Whereas early systolic murmur should start with S1. Okay. What are the other causes of early systolic murmurs?
Acute MR.
Acute MR. TR. Organic TR.
Okay. Acute MR, acute TR. Why are they early systolic?
Because the pressure gradient.
Why they are confined to early systole only?
Because of the pressure gradient.
What will happen to the pressure gradient? So very rapid equalization of the ventricular pressure and atrial pressures. So in case of acute regurgitations, the atrial compliance is not increased. Atrial compliance is low. Whereas chronic regurgitations, atrium is dilated and atrial compliance is more. In acute regurgitations, atrium is smaller structure. The compliance is not increased. So that's the reason why very rapidly the atrial pressure increases with regurgitation. So it rapidly equalizes with the ventricular pressure. So there won't be any pressure gradient in the later part of the systole. So that's the reason why the murmur is confined to early systole only in acute MR or acute TR situations.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other cause for early systolic murmur?
Chronic mild MR.
Chronic mild MR should it be early systolic?
Muscular PFT. Small muscular PFT.
Chronic MRs won't cause because chronic MRs the atrial compliance is increased. So there won't be any rapid equalization of the pressures. The pressure gradient will continue till the later part of the systole. So the murmur will be classically pansystolic murmur.
So large VSD, sir?
No, muscular VSTs.
Small
Muscular VSTs in the later part of the systole, because the contraction of the muscle fibers, the defect is penetrated. So that's the reason why it is confined to early systole only. In mid part and later part of the systole, the flow may get obliterated because of the musculature, contraction of the musculature in the ventricular septum. So muscular VSDs, there can be early systolic murmur.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Sir, PDA with Tyson-Menger, sir.
So these are all the reasons for early systolic.
PDA with Tyson-Menger.
PDA with reversal of shunt.
So PDA with reversal of shunt, why should we get early systolic murmur? When do you get a PDA flow? So what is the reason for accentuation of the murmur around second heart sound in PDA? Murmur peaks around second heart sound, no, in PDA left to right shunting.
Yes, sir.
Why does it happen? It is because the time will be taken by the time the blood traverses up to the PDA.
Okay.
From the aortic wall, it has to travel some distance before it reaches the PDA. And then the flow would occur through PDA into the pulmonary artery. So the turbulence has to be generated, and the turbulence will occur in the later part of the systole around second heart sound. More turbulence, more flow and more turbulence will be generated around second heart sound. That's the reason why the PDA murmur peaks around second heart sound.
Okay.
So for the same reason, in PH also the murmur won't occur in early part of the systole. The murmur occurs later. Whatever flow occurs, that occurs in the later part of the systole only. Whereas because of pulmonary artery hypertension, there can be an ejection murmur in the left, second or third space. Short ejection murmurs can occur in case of pulmonary artery hypertension. But longer murmurs excludes pulmonary artery hypertension. You don't get longer murmurs with pulmonary artery hypertension. The murmur is short ejection murmur is possible in any type of pulmonary artery hypertension. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Anything? Anything else?
In
Hello?
sir, I'm there. Sir.
What else? Yeah, you differentiate different isomerizations. Main findings are other findings which differentiate different isomerizations, PD isomerization, VST, AST.
So, PDA isomerization clinically differential cyanosis and differential clubbing, sir. And coming to exam,
Already we discussed. No, apart from this thing, which we have not discussed, any other finding which favors a particular type of isomerization?
Squatting episodes can be seen in case of VST isomerization.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead. Hello.
Sir, I'm there.
Are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there, sir. I'm there, sir.
Suppose if there is LV type of apical impulse.
Yes, sir.
What? Which type of isomerization?
LV type in case of PDS.
LV is a little late in PDA. Regression of the LV. Even after the bidirectional shunt has LV is little later in PDA isomerization. That's the reason why still you can have LV type of isomerization. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Primary pulmonary.
Sir, please repeat, sir. I am not able to come. Sir, please repeat it, sir.
Primary PAH.
Primary PAH. Sir, here patient is male patient.
Severe pulmonary hypertension, is there clinical evidence of severe pulmonary hypertension?
Yes, sir. Primary PAH is unlikely, sir, here because in case of primary PAH, patient will become, once patient develops symptoms, they'll have a rapid course, and mostly they will predominantly they'll have, once they develop this symptomatic, they develop right heart failure. Here there are no other signs of right heart failure, and childhood history of respiratory tract infections, so we will not be able to. Why history of respiratory tract in the childhood we can't be explained with alone primary pulmonary hypertension. And in case of even cyanosis also will not be intense in case of primary pulmonary hypertension. Cyanosis in case of primary PAH will be only mild cyanosis, that too when they develop right heart failure.
That's okay. In the history we have discussed all those things. What about basing on the clinical findings? How do you exclude or how do you rule out primary pulmonary hypertension?
Clinical findings wise, JVP can be elevated in case of primary pulmonary. JVP will be elevated, sir, and other features of right heart failure we will be able to see. And there can be hypertensive tricuspid regurgitation murmur can be there, sir. Significant parasternal heave will be there in case of primary pulmonary hypertension.
Yeah, that's more important. More significant left parasternal lifting should be there because here the septum is intact, in primary PAH. So JVP will be elevated because here there is a cyanosis. To cause cyanosis, there should be right to left shunting. JVP should be significantly elevated. Either AVB is prominent or VVB is prominent if there is tricuspid regurgitation.
Yes.
And anything else?
There will be parasternal heave and the tricuspid regurgitation murmur can be seen in case of primary pulmonary hypertension, and right heart failure symptoms can be seen.
Right. Yes.
Right heart failure.
Yeah, that's okay. Anything else?
Other systemic features.
No, not systemic. Clinical findings in the cardiovascular. So any other way the primary pulmonary hypertension differs from secondary pulmonary hypertension? So in primary pulmonary artery hypertension, the pulmonary artery may not be dilated that much compared to secondary pulmonary artery hypertension. Because secondary pulmonary artery hypertension is a long-standing pulmonary artery hypertension. In primary, comparatively, the pulmonary artery won't be that much dilated. Left parasternal pulsation, left second space pulsations, these things are little unusual for a primary pulmonary artery hypertension. And also the nature of the second heart sound splitting. Second heart sound may be narrowly split, even sometimes widely split in primary pulmonary artery hypertension. Whereas in Eisenmangerization, it's a single second heart sound. In primary pulmonary artery hypertension, RV failure is common, no? So that can also cause wide splitting of the second heart sound. And even in primary pulmonary artery hypertension, the split nature varies. Sometimes it's narrowly split, sometimes it is widely split. So any variety of this thing splitting is possible with primary pulmonary artery hypertension. Even S2 may not be that much accentuated compared to secondary pulmonary artery hypertension.
Okay.
The pulmonary artery dilatation is less prominent compared to secondary pulmonary artery hypertension, and also P2 accentuation is also less prominent, and splitting of the second heart sound may vary. Highly variable in primary pulmonary artery hypertension.
Okay.
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 And ejection sounds are very common. Pulmonary ejection sounds are common because of high pulmonary artery pressures. Right?
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? You want to see the ECG?
Sir, one doubt, sir. In this case, he has told systolic murmur in the left second intercostal space, sir. What is the reason, sir?
Still, it could be ejection murmur.
In VSD Eisenmangerization, ejection murmur is possible, sir.
Ejection murmur across the pulmonary or RVOT. Any pulmonary artery hypertension can cause a short ejection murmur, either a secondary pulmonary artery hypertension or a primary pulmonary artery hypertension. Okay, short ejection murmurs are common. Like in systemic hypertension, you get a short ejection murmur, no? Across the aorta. Same thing. Any hypertension can cause a short ejection murmur. But here the clinical findings have to be verified whether it is really an ejection murmur or early systolic murmur. We are discussing basing on your clinical findings only. If it is an ejection murmur, that is possible with pulmonary artery hypertension. If it is early systolic murmur, that is very characteristic of VSD Eisenmangerization.
Okay.
Yeah. Sir, one more doubt, sir. Why there is wide and fixed split in AST even after Eisenmangerization, sir?
Fixed split, you know the explanation, no? What is the reason for fixed the splitting?
Sir, during inspiration, right side of blood is increased, sir. During expiration, that will be balanced by the left to right shunt across the AST, sir. So there is constant.
RV inflow is constant in inspiration as well as expiration. In both the phases, RV inflow is constant. As a result, RV outflow is also constant. So that causes equal delay. Expression. That's the reason split doesn't vary. For width of the splitting, it is low pulmonary or high pulmonary capacitance. In the ASDs pulmonary arteries are much bigger compared to other situations.
Okay.
So that's the reason why you get a wide splitting of the second heart sound. Hangout interval will be more. I told you in a left and right shunting ASD it is more prominent. The width is more. As the Eisenmangerization develops, the width narrows, but still it is wider. Still you call it a wider split only. Compared to normal, it is wider. The width narrows after the development of pulmonary artery hypertension. But still there is preserved pulmonary artery capacitance, resulting in prolongation of the hangout interval. So that causes wide splitting of the second heart sound in ASD. Okay?
So what is the cause of early systolic murmur, sir, in VSD, Eisenmenger's?
But you have to tell after hearing all those things. It is flow across the VSD. So what causes pansystolic murmur?
But
Pansystolic murmur is because of turbulence across the VSD. In case of bidirectional shunting, the turbulence won't be there in the later part of the systole. It is only the early part of the systole, because the left to right shunt, it causes a short murmur, early systolic murmur.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Which will be there with the onset of the first heart sound. So immediately after the first heart sound, the murmur starts in early systole. This is because the left to right shunting across the VSD. In the later part, because it's a severe pulmonary hypertension, there won't be enough turbulence across the VSD. That's the reason why the murmur gets obliterated in the later part of the systole. In the case of VSD left to right shunting, the murmur is pansystolic. As the pulmonary hypertension develops, slowly the murmur length decreases, and finally it is confined to the only early systole. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Hello.
Understood.
Sir, in Eisenmenger, VSD is shunting initially in early systole from left to right side, sir. In Eisenmenger also.
Yeah. Eisenmengerization also their bidirection shunt will be there, but left to right shunt is also there, no? Left to right shunt in the early part of the systole, it causes a short murmur.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we'll see ECG next.
Rosette.
Okay. Rajesh. So this is a 12 lead 4 channel ECG with a lead to the rhythm chip, sir, with normal standardization of 10 millimeter per millivolt with vapor speed of 25 millimeters per second. Showing sinus rhythm, sir, with the frontal plane QRS axis of around plus 150, sir. Lead 3 and AVR are more positive, sir, in between lead 3 and AVR. And P wave axis and morphology looks to be normal. Sir. Normal P wave axis and morphology. There's a significant right ventricular hypertrophy, sir, with the, and there is also evidence of biventricular hypertrophy in the form of biphasic RS complex in V2 to V4. Catch-partial phenomenon present with R wave more than 60 millimeters when V2 to V4. Okay. There are no Q waves in V5 or V6 or Q. Even in V1, we are able to see some small Q wave. Third complex, we are able to see small Q waves. Otherwise, no Q waves in V5 and V6.
Yes.
Heart rate is around 110. Heart rate is 110. Normal intervals. PR segment is normal. Significant significant biventricular hypertrophy with right axis deviation.
Why any LV forces in the lateral leads V5, V6? You see the R wave.
Yes, because of significant right ventricular hypertrophy, we are able to see R wave in V5 and V6.
No. In case of biventricular hypertrophy, even V5, V6 should show significant R wave, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
In V5, the R wave is almost equal to S. In V. Probably the position of R basic lead may not be.
Okay. What about T waves? You see, the T waves are very, very prominent and tall peak T waves are there, no?
Yes, sir.
V3, V4 also.
And in V2 to V4, tall peak T waves are seen.
Any evidence of left atrial enlargement?
Sir, no evidence of left atrial enlargement.
Okay.
In V.
So, what are your references from the ECG?
of some ECG, right axis deviation with significant right ventricular hypertrophy with biventricular hypertrophy. Pressure overload, sir. RV pressure overload symptom. Pressure overload ECG.
Why pressure overload?
Because Q waves are not able to see in V5, but we should see Q wave in V1, sir. But in one complex small Q wave, we are able to see.
No, pressure overloaded ventricle. Which one is pressure overloaded? RV or RV?
Here, biventricular hypertrophy, sir. Both the ventricles are
pressure overloaded. Huh? So, where is the evidence of pressure overload in the V5, V6?
No ST depressions are seen.
So, there is no evidence of pressure overload. Basically, the strain pattern is not there. Only T inversions are there in V1. Beyond that, there is no strain pattern in either of these right ventricular leads or left ventricular leads. Okay? Yes? Anything else? So, what are your inferences? Is it consistent with your clinical diagnosis?
Yes, it's consistent with clinical diagnosis. But strain pattern, I'm not aware, sir. I'm not able to see the strain pattern, sir. But otherwise, it is consistent with the clinical diagnosis of significant right ventricular hypertrophy.
Do you expect strain pattern?
No, sir. Only when he goes into failure, only it will be a strain pattern. We don't expect. I don't expect.
Yeah, strain pattern is more common with primary pulmonary artery hypertension rather than secondary pulmonary artery hypertension.
Okay.
Secondary pulmonary artery hypertension's strain pattern is like unusual. Okay. Yes. Anything else from the ECG? How do you differentiate different isomerizations in ECG?
Sir, in ECG, based on the Q wave, we can differentiate different isomerization. Q wave in case of V5 and V6 more likely in case of VST or PDA. Sir. Q wave in V1 indicates more likely in case of AST.
Q waves lateral leads, it's PDA.
Yeah, Q wave laterally is more likely to be PDA because the LV regression is little later in PDA. If you have Q waves in V5, V6 with Eisenmenger syndrome, that is a point in favor of PDA Eisenmengerization.
Yes.
Anything else? Why Q wave? V1, V2? It's not Q wave.
In case of AST Eisenmenger suprasystemic pressures, you can develop Q waves.
That is a little rare form, no? Commonly, what is the form in ASD? ASD is an RSR pattern.
Yes.
Even after the development of Eisenmengerization, RSR is preserved.
Yes, sir.
But R prime will be much taller. R prime is much taller. So if RSR pattern is preserved, that is a point in favor of ASD Eisenmengerization. Yes. Okay. So here you think it's a VSD Eisenmengerization because?
So there are no Q waves in V6 and.
Okay. Pulmonary hypertension.
The right atrial enlargement will be more evident in ASD Eisenmengers than VSD PDNs.
In ASD.
In case of AST Eisenmenger.
ASD right atrial enlargement can be. Okay. Right.
Sir, hello. Just check for PA view, sir. Just check the PA view, well centralized, mild rotation towards the left side, sir. No significant cardiomegaly. Exposure and penetration normal, sir. No significant cardiomegaly, sir. Dilated main pulmonary artery and dilated right descending pulmonary artery, sir. No evidence of any right atrial enlargement or no prominent aorta, sir. So PDA we can rule out, sir. And there are some end-on vessels we are able to see on the right side, sir. Almost nearly 3 end-on vessels.
Which one?
Endowns.
Okay. Just comment about all the structures, right atrium, pulmonary artery.
Right atrium size is normal, sir. Main pulmonary dilated, right descending pulmonary dilated, sir. There is no evidence of left atrial enlargement in the form of a double density stent, sir. No significant cardiomegaly. Pulmonary vascular, sir. RV type of heparin. RV type of heparin, sir.
RV type. Pulmonary blood flow.
Pulmonary blood flow. Pulmonary flow decreased pulmonary blood flow, except for right descending pulmonary prominent. In other areas, there is no pulmonary vascular. We are not able to see, sir. Only central pulmonary.
Answer there, no?
Only on right side. One side we are able to see some endon. 3 endons on the right side. But
okay, anything else? What else you should see in X-ray in case of Eisenmengers?
We should see for a central pulmonary dilatation and a peripheral pruning. We should see, sir, and we should see for aortic arch, sir. Generally, in case of VST Eisenmengers, we can expect a right side aortic arch in case. And we should look for cardiomegaly. In case of AST Eisenmengers, cardiomegaly can be there, sir.
Maybe what is the incidence of right aortic arch with VSD?
Around 10 to 15%.
VSD, plain VSDs.
Plain VSD, around 10 to 15% can have right aortic arch.
Tetralogy, it is common. VSD, PS, Vijayalya, right aortic arch is common. Routine VSDs, right aortic arch is not that common, no? Okay. Yes, anything else?
In case of PDA, we can see ductal calcification, sir.
Obliteration of the AP window, aortopulmonary, radiological AP window.
Radiological AP window will be obliterated.
And ductal calcification can be seen. Yes. Anything else?
So AST peripheral.
Aorta will be prominent.
AST Eisenmengerization, there will be cardiomegaly, and right atrial enlargement will be quite significant, and pulmonary vasculature is preserved. You can see the pulmonary vasculature up to the lateral 1/3. Whereas VST Eisenmengerization, there will be central pulmonary arteries are dilated and peripheral pruning is characteristic. In VST Eisenmengerization, the cardiomegaly won't be that much. Whereas PDA Eisenmengerization, radiological AP window may be obliterated, PDA calcification can be seen. Okay, and effects is of LV, maybe LV type in PDA Eisenmengerization because LV regresses a little later.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here it is suggesting what, ASD or VSD or PDA?
Sir, here it is suggesting VSD, sir, because there is no significant cardiomegaly. There is no right atrial enlargement, not the only central pulmonary arteries are dilated, sir. And the aorta is not dilated, so it goes in favor of VSD.
Okay.
Sir, echo report, sir. So this is the parastern long axis, sir, with a mode across the aortic wall, sir. Aorta's diameter of size 2.5 centimeters, LA of size 3.1 centimeters. LA is not so significantly dilated compared to aorta. This is a color flow across the ventricular RV and LV, showing the turbulence across the ventricular septum in the outflow area. This is M mode across the LV. There is no paradoxical septal motion. Interventricular septal thickness of around 0.9 centimeters and posterior wall thickness of around 0.7 centimeters. Normal parameters of LV cavity. There is a D-shaped LV. It's a basal short axis view. Basal short axis view of LV at the rate of papillary muscle, showing D-shaped LV in both systole and diastole.
What is the where is the defect?
The defect is at the level of outflow. It's in the outflow tract, like mostly subaortic VST, sir. The basal short at the level of aorta. We're able to see the defect at 11 o'clock position.
Below the tricuspid that attacks you. So what is the defect known or called?
Subaortic VST.
Subaortic VST.
Remembrance.
The outflow VSTs will be below the pulmonic valve.
Okay.
Subpulmonic VSTs. Here it is a subaortic VST. So here
it's a typical 4-chamber view, sir. Showing
okay.
The typical area somewhat looks to be dilated, sir, and significant right ventricular hypertrophy with pressure. Significant right ventricular hypertrophy. There is a large ventricular septal defect, sir, with a shunt across with a bidirectional shunt.
Yes, but here the VST is seen when the AV valves are seen, no? That
Yes,
means
sir.
what does it imply?
Inlet VST. When the AV valves are opening, we'll say inlet VST.
Posterior extension or inlet extension of the VST. AV, what is the level of the AV valves?
Sir,
How do you know whether it is an inlet VSD or not? Basing on what?
when we are able to see the VST, when the AV valve are opening, then mostly it's the inlet component of the
Inlet component. And both the AV valves should be at the same level in case of inlet VST.
inlet VST.
So both the AV valves should be at the same level. Here that point is not very clear, but there is looks like there is inlet extension. Even if it is subaortic VST, sometimes it can extend posteriorly to the inlet septum. Okay.
Okay.
Because in this thing ECG, there is no left axis deviation. It's an inlet VST. What will be the axis like? URS axis like?
Left axis deviation.
Leftward axis. But here in ECG, it's a rightward axis only.
Yes. Color flow across the tricuspid valve, sir.
Okay.
Showing tricuspid regurgitation. Mild to moderate tricuspid regurgitation.
Okay. Yes.
The bidirectional shunt across the VST, sir, and the color across the turbulence across the tricuspid valve.
Nope. Aortic valve.
So in the mode we are able to see somewhat aortic valve lifted, thicken lifted, sir, in the mode of aortic.
So is there any turbulence?
No, sir, no turbulence. No aortic flow turbulence.
You should always see, sometimes there can be a subaortic membrane associated with VST. Subaortic membranes are common. So you should see whether there is any alveotic gradient.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir,
Yes, final. What is the conclusion?
1 minute.
Echo diagnosis.
Sir, I am reading the report, sir. Congenital heart disease, large subaortic VST with bidirectional shunt with the inlet extension, mild TR with severe pulmonary hypertension with a right RVSP of around 88 mm of Hg, sir. There is a dilate RE and RV, mild LV dysfunction, no clots, no pericardium. Subaortic VST of size 1.6 centimeters with bidirectional shunt with inlet extension.
Inlet extension. Okay. So what are you planning to do?
Sir, first we'll estimate the pulmonary vascular resistance. Clinically and echocardiography, there is a significant bidirectional shunt, and clinically his resting saturation is around 78. Sir. So you'll be having high pulmonary vascular resistance. I will look for any reversible component of pulmonary vascular resistance. If any pulmonary vascular resistance reversibility is there, or PVR by SVR ratio less than 0.4, we can operate him. We can offer some intervention.
So here, do you expect any reversibility?
No, sir. Less likely of. Less chance of
stenosis and clubbing is also there on rest.
Yes, sir. Here less likely.
Here it's less likely because there is almost grade 3 clubbing there and severe cyanosis.
Yes, sir.
During rest. Sometimes if there is exertional cyanosis and all, and the cyanosis is very mild, in such cases probably there is a possibility that there is reversal of pulmonary vascular resistance. But here it's unlikely to be. Okay?
Okay, sir. Then we'll manage him on medical management.
Yeah.
We can
Okay.
offer.
That's all, no? Any doubts?
Sir, one doubt, sir. In this ECG, how to say loop, sir? There is RSR complex in 2,3 AVF. There are no QS. Is it?
ECG, no, I don't have any projection there, but
sir,
inferior leads Q is not there.
Q is not there.
Yes,
RSR is inferior.
In that case, you say the loop cannot be commented. No definite QS either in L1 AVL or inferior leads. You can't really say, no?
Yes, sir. Any other method to tell loop, sir? We cannot comment.
No, you cannot comment by any other method. Here, QRS loop you can't say. Unless there are QFs in either L1 AVL or inferior leads. Ventricular loop is different.
Yes, sir.
Ventricular loop is different from QRS loop. What is ventricular loop?
QFs in V5, V6.
QF is V5, V6 and absence of Q in V1, V2.
V1.
That is D loop.
Yes, sir.
So ventricular loop you can tell, but here this QRS loop it is not easy to say.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir, any significance of this RSR pattern 2-3 AVF, sir, in this VSD Eisenmenger?
No, I don't think any significance is there. Importance is this V1, V2 monomorphic R wave is there, no?
In V1 there is monomorphic R.
V1 there is a monomorphic R wave. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, I had a question, sir.
Hello.
Sir, you had mentioned about ASD Eisenmengerization having pulmonary vasculature in the lateral third. Sir, what's the reason behind that, sir?
ASD Eisenmengerization.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. ASD is. Yes.
Sir, in ASD Eisenmengerization, you had mentioned that the lateral third of the X-ray also the pulmonary vasculature is seen, while classically we have already seen that Eisenmenger lateral third has peripheral pruning. So why in ASD Eisenmengerization is still preserved?
That's what development of the pulmonary arteries are bigger. Pulmonary vasculature is bigger in ASD situation. So that's the reason vascularity is still preserved even after development of Eisenmengerization in ASD. So for that reason, you will be seeing the pulmonary vasculature up to the lateral 1/3, even after the development of Eisenmengerization in ASD. Whereas other two conditions, the central pulmonary arteries are dilated and peripheral ones are pruned. So
yes, thank you.
Pulmonary artery is bigger in this. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.